YouTube fans. This is Matt of Post-April 6th YouTube channel. How are you today? How are you this evening, whatever time of the day you're watching this? I hope things are going well. And you want to know what? Here's a big one. Yes, here's a big one. It's an unfinished story, but you're really going to like this one because this guy came, he was a nobody, born in 1990, who was propositioned and successfully persuaded to become a really good actor. It was a movie that was going to be more of an independent style that was going to be done by Paramount Pictures, but it was really going to be one of a kind. It was really going to be one of a kind. So, why don't I get started reading the story. The title of the story is Story of Andrew B. Dons. D-O-N-N-S is how his last name is spelled. Andrew Buckman Dons was born on August 20... let me say that again. Andrew Buckman Dons was born on August 10th, 1990, at a public hospital in Ames, Iowa. The exact medical confirmation time of day was 7:03 p.m., August 10th, 1990, at a hospital on the 1100 block of Duff Avenue in Ames, Iowa. Because I think I researched this, and such a hospital is located at this location. At the hospital, on this night, it wasn't a major problem in meteoric terms, but there was a heavy wind, and it was low in 40s temperature, because it was one of those things where it had been cool for a couple of days, and at night, because of they're so much closer to the really cold part of the New England, the far northeast part, a cold, a spell of cold weather that was going through the United States, was going this way throughout the United States over into California, was going around at the time. It was almost an Arctic front. It was so cold. Okay, but anyways, let me go back to reading the story. On August 13th, 1990, at 11:30 a.m., Andy's mother, Diana Janice Miller was her maiden name, Dons, a 27-year-old female originally born in Passaic, New Jersey, was released from the hospital. Her loving husband, Buckman Wayne Dons, age 30, got her a ride home in his glitter gold 4-door GMC 3500 4-wheel drive SL 1989 truck. Because I've done research on this, such a truck exists. And it was, 4-door trucks were fairly common back then, but I think they're more common now versus then. That day was a great day despite the temperature being so hot, because see, on this particular day, it went from a cold front to getting, going through a heat wave. And it was a heat wave that was going through Ames, Iowa, and the majority of the United States. It was one of those types of weather I want to say weather belts, but waves of weather that was going through the United States, meaning the majority of the United States was hot. August 13th was a continuance of the happiest day of their lives. On the following day, Buck reported for work at his diesel repair business he formed on January 5th, 1988. Buck had a ton of hard work to do, as did his 5 other mechanics. They all had to coordinate a effective plan to start to rebuild 6 different DT466 diesel engines, because I'm pretty sure DT466 is made by International Harvester, that blew out and needed to be rebuilt and repaired as well. Andy was an attendant at Edwards Elementary School from 1995 until 2002. Thus, his last school year was the 2001-2002 school year, because I didn't make it clear in the story. It was probably something that was a high school that possibly was named Edwards, or it was near the Edwards Elementary School. He was a good boy most of the time. There was one incident where he got into a fight at school, and the bully who started the fight got badly beaten up by Andy, and the bully was named Franco DICKMAN. Yeah, I mean this kid had a R-rated last name, or one that would, or last type of last name that one would call evocative. And DICKMAN was suspended from school for 8 days. After the suspension and a major spanking by his dad with a ping pong paddle, Franco became a good little boy. During the 2002-2003 school year, so let me make a correction again. Hold on. I just did a little more reading, and he actually graduated in 2010. I didn't realize that when I read the part where it says 2001-2002 school year, because in 2002 he finished what was probably 6th grade and then went on to a middle school in the 2002-2003 school year. Okay, so I'll keep reading. And let me say that sentence all over again. During the 2002-2003 school year, Andy attended Ames Middle School and was well liked by all students. Even a crazy metalhead banger. You know, he listened to a lot of heavy metal and thrash metal and stuff like that. I mean, he didn't do it while he was in class, but on lunch, boy, he really played it, and when he was at home and his parents weren't there, boy, he really turned up the boombox and he really rocked out to no end. A metal headbanger, and this person's name was Johnny Gonzo Gonzalez, liked him too. Yeah, there was a day where Gonzo and Andy were talking during a lunch break during a field trip at, I think it's pronounced Brunier Art Museum, because that place actually exists in Ames, Iowa, or near Ames, Iowa. During the lunch break, they were laughing about all kinds of stuff. From 2005 until 2010, Andy attended Ames High School, a huge group of 3 different buildings for over 1,100 students. Well, one of the electives of Andy was language arts class and dramatic arts, because language arts and dramatic arts are 2 different types of classes, but the dramatic arts was basically an acting class or theater. And when he was 17, he got hired at Books A Million store, because such a bookstore does exist. I looked it up, and there's one. I think there's one in Ames, Iowa, or near Ames, Iowa. As a part-time stock crew and a cashier as well. He only worked part-time, and on May 24th, 2010, it was his last day at school. And Andy became a certified high school graduate. And on Friday, May 28th, 2010, there was a graduation ceremony, and he was handed his high school diploma. During the summer of 2010, he worked 40 hours a week at Books A Million as a supervisor and an inventory assessor, and other APA all-purpose associate deeds he must complete. And on September 7, 2010, he moved to PIERRE, South Dakota. He wanted to live in a different part of the United States for a change. 1 week after he moved to PIERRE, South Dakota, and was temporarily living with his uncle Gerald, he got a good job at KARL'S TV Appliance and Furniture store. And the economy in PIERRE was booming, so he was quite a busy man. He busted a salesman who was in conspiracy with an outsider who committed theft of merchandise. And that action he did got the owners of KARL'S to like him even more, but by late November of 2014 he was tired of the job, and in a way PIERRE, South Dakota seemed like a dull and not that exciting. So he moved to Depoe Bay, Oregon, and that move was a great move for him. He had the money to move from one part of the United States to another again. And he financed getting a Toyota RAV4 SUV too. And before he moved, he got a decent home to rent in nearby Lincoln City. A 1-bedroom, 1-bath for only $1,200 a month. And he was hired as a front-end manager at grocery outlet located on Depoe Bay itself, because grocery outlet is actually a chain of grocery stores that actually does exist. It was sure nice for him to be living in an area of the United States that was near the Pacific Ocean and not quite as cold, and did not have that boring Midwest United States look. He sure liked working as a front-end manager, but he had to let go a cashier that was overly bossy front-end associate towards the courtesy clerks, the meat and seafood associates, the stock clerks of produce and general merchandise. So the human resources manager and the general manager mutually agreed that he must be terminated. Despite working for grocery outlet stores for 11 years. And he caught a new grocery stocker associate in the act of freebasing crystal meth in the bathroom and kicked him out. Well, on Andy's own time, he began to have more of an interest in becoming an actor. So on vacation times during the years 2015, 2016, and 2017, he would take trips to Hollywood, Los Angeles, and discover ways to talk privately with Screen Actors Guild members, workers at Warner Brothers Studios, Paramount Pictures, Universal Studios, Sony Pictures, Walt Disney Studios, and Fox Studio Lot. It was a real good thing that Don's had been so good at investing in stock shareholdings and selling a few things here and there on eBay and getting paid an astronomical amount of money each month from the grocery store earnings of $29 per hour, which equates to $1,160 per week, and I put in parentheses before payroll deductions. And these earnings also equate to $4,640 per month and $55,680 as annual income. On Monday, January 29th, 2018, after Andy clocked in at 8 a.m. sharp and was getting a lot of work done on the front end he needed to do, including writing up a man who showed up 20 minutes late for work and had committed the 9th occurrence of showing up late after working there for only 39 days. The courtesy clerk named Jimmy was not suspended after the write-up, but he was warned that if he shows up late again within the next 60 days he will be terminated. Shortly after the disciplinary action was taken by Andy, and at about 9:45 a.m., the front-end supervisor, Ronnie Jahason, that's spelled Jhasen, came running over to the front-end manager's office upstairs and advised Andy that the store really got slammed. Then Andy rushed downstairs and began to hear a massively loud crowd of people, and service dogs were barking, and little kids were crying and pleaded with their guardian to take them home. And on open and manned registers, meaning there was a cashier there, registers 7, 8, and 9, there were over 16 people waiting to be helped with huge cartloads of groceries. Andy pages for different associates to help out on the register, and he asked quite demandingly. Then 5 more registers opened, and there was a lot of noise, and one woman who was elderly had fainted, and the general manager, a really well-dressed African-American woman who looks similar to Oprah Winfrey, yep, she did, who was who has a gold-plated name tag that boldly stated Susie Q, General Manager, rushed forth and examined the woman, and then got on her iPhone 8 Plus and called 911 so the woman could get medical attention. And the longer they were there, the more busy the store had gotten. Even Peggy, the red-haired delicatessen department manager, brought over some nice mini sandwiches for the associates to eat. I must honestly say the store had over $141,000 in sales. Because to have $141,000 in sales in just one business day, that's huge. That is huge. I mean, it doesn't matter what part of the United States it is, anywhere, whether it's a little dinky town. I mean, in a dinky town that's extremely astronomical, but in New York City or in the most populated area of Los Angeles Metro and New York City, that's still quite big time in those areas. But with the way they price things, it's probably going to be $200,000 up. But anyways, I'll continue with the story. That day was in the stores. Let me say that again. That day was the busiest day in the store's history of being open for over 15 years. Registers 7 through 15 were always open and manned by a male or female cashier. Even a courtesy clerk or two learned cashiering skills. From 1:30 p.m. until 2:03 p.m. Then about 12 minutes after 4 p.m., Susie Q, the GM, comes into the office and smiles and gives him a lot of praise for his hard work and taking actions against Jimmy. She also explained that he will be getting a $100 bonus on his next paycheck in 4 days. Then says in a friendly tone, but in a way that made him worry, she needed him to follow her to her large office of the general manager because two men wanted to talk to him about something these men wanted to try to convince him to get involved in. And he stands up and both his palms are sweaty. His heart is pounding, and he develops a lot of beads of sweat on his forehead. In the 17 steps to the office, because see what that means is it's 17 steps from the office he's at to the general manager's office, going this way. Hi, Kitty. I'm reading an interesting story. You find that interesting? Huh? Yeah, you got a really interesting look on your face. You must really like this story. Yeah. He is worried about being forced to be promoted as assistant store manager, to transfer to a different part of the United States, to join Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints Mormon Church, or to become a cheesy insurance salesman. So after the door opens, he sees a face he's seen before while on vacation in Los Angeles, Hollywood, California. He sees a high-ranking executive with Paramount Pictures, a guy who is all the way bald and has a distinct designed bright gold square framed eyeglasses and a jet black and white-haired mustache with modern-styled salt and pepper hair, mutton chop sideburns, because there'd be sideburns that go down to about here, that were thick and combed down with a touch of hair gel. Both men smile at him, and then Susie Q sits down behind her desk and says, "Well, why don't you sit down, Andy?" After he did, she sees Susie Q point at the white and black-haired distinguished gentleman and says, "Andy, this is Jonas Nicholson, an entertainment manager of operations at Paramount Pictures. He would like to discuss an offer that is beyond attractive with you." Then Susie Q points at an African-American guy wearing no glasses and donning a rayon fabric bright gray suit coat with a old school white dress shirt with bright blue widened pinstripes and near his thick-bodied chrome submarine diver's watch that he likely paid over $500 for, is accompanied with French cuffs and shining clear diamond on the chrome double cuff sets, meaning French cufflink shirt, that connects through the eyelets of the cuffs on each sleeve. And then the powerful general manager says, "This is Rocky Fordman, a human resources manager with the Screen Actors Guild. In fact, he prefers to be called D-Rock." After the introduction, she continues to elaborate on why these men have visited. These two men are here because they know quite well you are interested in becoming a well-paid, beginning with the Los Angeles Tinseltown entertainment industry. They know that you will be a very good actor and that you are one who rarely drinks alcohol and has never ever tried drugs, and that the only time you did something bad was 2 days after graduation ceremony. And well, I'm not going to go and elaborate too much, but he used protection, and he had intercourse with a woman because they loved each other so much. It was a girlfriend of his at the time. Then Susie Q stops talking and makes a gesture to let the men do the talking. Then Jonas starts talking in a polished, deep voice. "Well, Andy, as you may know, I am Jonas Nicholson. I have been a talent manager or a talent scout for 12 years for Paramount Pictures. And after seeing you from upstairs conduct yourself in one of the busiest days I've ever seen, heard of, or witnessed within my own 2 eyes, how well you took control and got a lot of things done. not only that statement and me complimenting you based on my intense observations, how you were able to type on a keyboard, scan merchandise with your left hand, you were able to eat a couple of salami and prosciutto rye mini sandwiches with your right hand and still pay very close attention to your work and not make one mistake, and how move both hands quite fast and be quite even-tempered. So what we want to entice you into being involved in is a movie about a man living in Benson County, North Dakota, located out in the most rural, remote area of North Dakota, and wanting quite badly to vacate his small cabin dwelling and raise enough money to move to Venice Beach area of Los Angeles, California, in order to get a job at a grocery store. You're the best guy we looked for after spending 3 months personally evaluating 37 different individuals at 29 different grocery stores located in 9 different states. Then, as the initial conversation with Jonas nears the end, he says one more additive before letting D-Rock take over. Jonas, nears the end of speaking, says, "I must divulge that there were times I only slept 4 hours a night. For 8 solid days, I was so energetic and highly determined to find the right man. Now I will let D-Rock take over now. And due to the fact D-Rock is sitting so close to you, Andy," and what happens is D-Rock extends his hand, left hand, and shake hands with him, and then starts talking. "Hey, you the man. No, you can outshine Dwayne Johnson, Chris Hemsworth, Johnny Depp, Robert Downey Jr., and legendary Woody Harrelson." And Andy smiles but feels a little nervous. Then D-Rock pauses to sneeze and covers his mouth and says, excuse me, and then looks at Andy and says, "So if you decide to go along with this major motion picture super surprise, the bigwigs, the deep-pocketed producers are willing to and will provide you with these helpings at first. We will convince your landlord, Jonathan Peckman, to do a lease buyout so things end up on good terms. And we will let you give 2 weeks' notice so you can end your employment with grocery outlet stores in an honorable, stand-up, good guy way. We also have 5 different property management companies that are located within 3 miles of Paramount Pictures to provide you with a good little promiscuous apartment to live in that most of the paparazzi media will never pay attention to. We will pay you We will pay for several months' rent. We will pay the hefty security deposit. And if you got a pet dog or a cat, we will pay the pet deposit too. And we will get you a good seat on Delta Airlines and let you decide to take a one-way flight, first class or coach. Flights from Eugene Airport, 90 to 95 miles away from here. We will pay the moving company to move you to the apartment in Hollywood, Los Angeles, zip code 90028. To move you from here in Depoe Bay to LA. Companies like Navy SEALs Moving, Just in Time, and Strong Guys too. Then Jonas briefly interrupts D-Rock and says, D-Rock, may I interrupt and ask Andy if I can give him something on the spot? D-Rock responds, yeah, sure. Go ahead, my man. Jonas reaches into his tweed suit coat. Andy, do you like to smoke cigars? Andy responds, yeah, sometimes. I haven't smoked one in 9 months. Then Jonas reaches into his suit coat pocket and retrieves 3 premium cigars. And then Jonas says, okay, here are 3 different cigars you can choose. 1, 2, or all 3 cigars. After the cigars are handed to him, and he examines all 3 wrapped in clear Ziploc cigar plastic bag, Andy chooses the gold-banded Fuente Special Edition. Then D-Rock continues. And now, here's more excitement for you to think about. We will pay for a moving specialist to pack up all your goods so at your home you are renting, so you don't have the headache of packing up all your stuff and working your fingers and arms to the bone. Let me ask you what type of car you own nowadays. And he responds and tells him about the 2014 Toyota RAV4 SUV. Yeah, that's all I wrote. And I know that my voice slipped a few times, and the voice of Jonas Nicholson and of D-Rock are 2 different voices, and I did the best I could to do that type of impersonation or impression. But with this tracheotomy procedure that I had 14 years ago, I can't change my voice as well as I used to. So basically what happens is they talk a little bit more, and then he says, well, I want a few hours, I want 24 hours to think about this. And what Andy does is he does a lot of thinking, and he does his own research about some things, and then he calls the next day at about 2 p.m. after he's had about 6-7 hours of sleep. And he asks if the two can meet for dinner at it's a steakhouse that is, I think it's either in Depoe Bay or Lincoln City. And they he asks some more questions than he needs to, and then he says, okay, I'm going to give my 2 weeks notice, I'm going to do this. I love that job, but I want to be an actor a lot more. And they're really happy. You know, they've really made a big score. I mean, a big score. You know, the higher ups with Paramount Pictures are really going to like this. And he gives 2 weeks. He types up a 2 weeks notice to resign, and hands it in to Susie Q. And she is really nice about it. And not only that, when you know, like about a couple of weeks before he resigned, Susie Q kept in mind some people that would want to transfer over to that store and fill his position, that would be just as good as Andrew Don's or Andy. And then after the 2 weeks are up, and he has a specialist come in and pack up everything. And he also gets some luggage, because he's only got one piece of luggage. He gets some 2 bigger Samsonite luggage that's, you know, better made, better than the lesser expensive luggage that he got at Walmart that was not as costly. And he cashes in his stock that he has in AT&T, or no, I take that back, Verizon Wireless. And he really starts doing other research that he needs to about the place he's going to be living at. So he's really familiarized with what's nearby. And then what happens is they pay for a lease buyout that only costs about $900. And a guy he knows who's a good handyman helps him. You know, they work together with each other to do a lot of deep cleaning so that he would get the deposit back, because the deposit he put on the apartment was at least $500. And then he gets a flight booked with Delta, a one-way ticket, and the only and he pays for this out of his own pocket. The only company that will do the shuttle flight from where he lives to Eugene, Oregon, it's going to cost him about $114. Yes. It's called an airport limo. Or a town car shuttle. And he sells his 2014 RAV4 because he doesn't want to mess with it anymore. He likes the car, but he'd been, in the back of his mind, he'd been thinking on and off about getting something else. And then what happens is once he gets to an apartment that would be about 1.5 miles from Melrose, because I think the address of Paramount Pictures is in the 5,000. I can't say. I don't want to say the exact address because I could get flagged for that. The 5,000 block of Melrose Boulevard or Melrose Avenue. And he goes to a acting school that is close to, it's like 3 to 4 blocks away from Paramount. It's not Sam Christensen acting school. It's a different one. It's a little more advanced because, you know, the Jonas Nicholson got this set up, and he's got he can pull the strings to get this set up like that. And they do a lot of acting classes. And then when he gets about 3 days off to, 1, get a new car, 2, find some furniture that he wanted for the apartment, and some other and some groceries and some other things. And when he's got time, he does, you know, an hour here, an hour there on those 3 days off. He does some research. So, well, that's about all I have to say on this story idea. It's an unfinished story, but, you know, I have it in my mind. And thank you for all the subscribers I have. Thank you, everyone. It's really time for me to go, and goodbye.